Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl, the Brooke Ashley, and today we are here to discuss The Real Housewives of Dubai, Season 1, Episode 12, and this was the finale episode. So before we jump into the recap, let me just give you guys a few of my thoughts about this season overall. And if I had to rate this season, I would give Dubai a B-C+. I love the wealth, I love the fashions, but I feel like we could get a more cohesive cast. It's clear that a lot of these women don't really interact or have real friendships besides Ayan and Lesa. Like, they are real best friends, it shows genuine interactions, but the rest of the group, it felt disjointed. You have Caroline Stanbury, who seemed disengaged, and I think that she was expecting to be the queen bee and the star of the show, and when it didn't happen, her attitude just kind of went downhill from there. I also read Ayan's Vulture article. You guys are telling me to read it. Very insightful. Definitely got a better understanding of the cast dynamics. Finding out that Caroline Stanbury had called Ayan up before filming and was like, don't join this show. This show is going to be about me and my friends. And now we see why in the first episode there was so much friction and tension between the two of them. But it's looking like the reunion is about to give what the girls said it was supposed to have gave, in the words of Rolling Ray, and I'm ready for it. I'm ready to see Lesa and Caroline Stanbury go at it. We saw in the trailer that Lesa calls out Caroline Stanbury for allegedly being in Jeffrey Epstein's book. I was like, well, damn. And then we have Andy calling Caroline Stanbury out for Sergio's racist tweets. But y'all, with that all being said, let's just jump right on into it, because you guys already know we don't have a minute to spare. So the episode opens up with Lesa at home with her family, and we see a picture of Miss Goat, because remember that Ayan brought them a goat for Thanksgiving. When I tell you guys, I was in shock to find out that Miss Goat passed away and they were having a funeral service for her. I was like, oh my gosh. So we learned from Lesa that Miss Goat suddenly passed away, and she goes on to say that when they went to the doctor said that they believe that Miss Goat was a very sick goat. And then Lesa says that she thinks that maybe the goat passed away because she was eating the fertilizer off the grass. So they're having a nice funeral service for Miss Goat, and we see Lesa's friends arrive. We have Ayan show up with her husband and her son Taj. And, you know, Lesa's really sad. The boys are upset. But Lesa's saying that she's calling this a funeral because she wants her kids to view death in a positive way. So Lesa gives a very warm speech about Miss Goat, and she goes on to thank Ayan for gifting them the goat in the first place. And so they all say, I love you, Miss Goat, and now it's time for the repast. Now, one thing about it, Black people know how to give a repast after a funeral. That food looked amazing. They had some delicious sushi. I said, now that's how you do it. And Ayan had me screaming because she was like, Miss Goat was bougie. Okay, she ate organic food. She was dressed in Dior and all the designer clothes. Like she was living her best Dubai life. I said, I know that's right.
Bling, bling, bling. Bitches is mad.
So while the repast is going on, we see Ayan and Lesa go off to the side to talk privately. Lesa says, I have to talk to you about something because after our cooking class yesterday, Nina had me stay after to talk to me about how she was angry at me for how I called her out about her and Stanbury getting so close. So now we see a clip of Lesa and Nina talking, and they're having a very heated discussion. So now Lesa says in her confessional that she just finds it weird at how Nina and Stanbury are so close in such a short amount of time. Then Lesa goes on to say how she's not trying to have issues with Nina, and she doesn't have a problem with Stanbury and Nina being friends, but she just finds it odd and a bit disingenuous and fake at how they formed this really fast friendship in about 2 months. Now let me just say this, I understand exactly where Lesa's coming from. I know what it's like to be friends with somebody who is dogging somebody out and then all of a sudden you turn around and you see them all buddy-buddy with each other. That's a bit off-putting. It's a bit weird for anybody. And if Nina was dogging out Caroline Stanbury, she needs to own it and to say, you know what, you're right, Lesa, it does look a bit strange, but we put that to the side, we've gotten past our issues, and now we're good friends. You're better off just saying that versus doing a complete 180 and being like, well, that's in the past, or, that's just what I heard. Like, own up to it. And may I be honest, I was a bit annoyed that we didn't get to see that cooking scene. I think that would have been a great scene to include in this finale episode, and it would have made things make a lot more sense. But I digress. So now Lesa goes on to say that she just wants to let loose and have some fun and go somewhere as a group. And now we cut to a clip of them all at the cooking class, and Sara's inviting all of them on a girls' trip to Ras Al Khaimah. Did I say that right? Let me know if I butchered it. If I did, apologies in advance, y'all. I did the best I could. But Sara says that this place is like the Fiji of the UAE. And I was thinking, sounds amazing. So far, all the trips that we've seen on Real Housewives of Dubai have been a 10 out of 10. So I have no doubt that Sara's trip is going to be just as beautiful too. But I really enjoyed this scene. I was happy to see Miss Goat get a proper send-off. So now we jump to the next scene with Caroline Brooks, her son Adam, and her ex-husband meeting up at the park. And Adam is happy to see his father. Brooks says that while she and her ex-husband had a horrific and volatile marriage, at the end of the day, that is still her son's father. And since he apologized to her a few weeks ago, she can now tolerate to be around him. Now, I was thinking, Brooks, you obviously had to tolerate him before he apologized to you because the fact that you asked him for his help in building your spa. Because if I hated somebody, I'm not speaking to them, I'm not asking them for anything. So while Adam and her ex-husband are playing around, Brooks says, Adam, tell Dad what happened to you at school. And so we learn that Adam was on a Zoom call a few days ago and the kids were saying these really nasty things to him. And so she got on the Zoom and was like, y'all are about to be in trouble messing with my son. And now the school is investigating the whole entire situation. So we learned that 4 kids are bullying Adam, and Adam's father is like, so what are you going to do about it? And so he jokes around like, I'm going to punch them all in the face. So Brooke says, no, let mommy handle it. And so Adam's father says, look, son, at the end of the day, don't let anybody bully you. Now, let me just say, y'all, like, I want Brooks to come in that school and raise all sorts of hell because I'll be damned. Okay? The day I have children, and God forbid somebody were to try it with my future child, like, the school will be shut down. Let me just say that. I'm getting really upset as we speak. I don't understand what is going on in your household where your child is bullying another child. That's some miserable behavior. Like, what is your kid seeing at home that they think that behavior is okay? And my immediate thought was, since her child is half black, I wonder what they're saying to him. Because let me find out they're calling him some slurs. I was getting really angry watching this because you can see that her son is a sweetheart. He doesn't bother anybody. He seems like a nice kid. And I really do hope that he has friends. You know what I'm saying? Like, that breaks my heart to know that a whole bunch of kids are picking on him and he's left to fend for himself. Like, I was getting so upset hearing that. So they changed gears in the conversation. And at one point, they were looking at one of the high rises right next to the park. And so Brooks and her ex are joking around. And then he makes a joke saying, well, maybe I picked the wrong women. So now you have their son talking about gold diggers under his breath. And Brooks is like, wait a second, what? What kind of stuff are you teaching our son? Like, what are you saying? So now she says to Adam, Adam, do not listen to your father when it comes to women. Listen to me. Like, don't pay your father any mind, okay? You are too young to be talking about gold diggers. Now, Brooks says in her confessional that about 4 years ago, Adam called her a gold digger to her face. And she was like, where did you learn this from? Why are you calling me that? And he said to her, Dad told me that that's what you are and how you love money. So let me just say this. I personally hate the word gold digger. I don't understand why women who want a man who has some money, I don't know why that's a bad thing. Like, I don't get it. I'll never understand it. You'll never hear me call somebody a gold digger. I don't think there's anything wrong. Now, I do think that you need to look for a man who has character and integrity. So obviously, don't just look for only money, look for the whole package. But I don't think that there's anything wrong for wanting a man who has a few coins in his pocket. But let me not go off on a tangent before you guys get mad at me and say that I'm trying to be a femininity channel, okay? So let me just get off of that. But I was glad that Brooks told her son, we're not having that. If you want to learn about women, you come to mommy. You don't go to dad, because your dad's sitting up here talking some BS. And just one more thing. Generally, the men complaining about gold diggers have no gold to dig. And second of all, the men like Brooks's ex-husband, they love gold diggers. So it's like, stop it. So now we see Brooks and her ex-husband walk over to the side, and they're discussing her spa. So Brooks tells him that she needs him to request the permit, and she's asking him how long that takes. He's like, it should take around 5 months. And she says, perfect, because I plan to open up the spa in 6 months. While Brooks is not my favorite, I am happy for her about the spa. And I think that her spa is going to do really well, because Dubai has a lot of wealthy women. And the fact that she's on TV, she's on The Real Housewives, people are going to be flocking to her spa. I thought it was funny when Brooks said, never in a million years did I ever think that we'd be working together. And then he said, well, since we're working together, are you going to pay me? And she just started laughing. I was thinking, sir, your payment is the fact that I'm talking to you after how you treated me so horribly in this marriage, okay? Be happy that we're cordial, we can be friendly. That's your payment. So now we jump to the next scene with Caroline and Sergio, because of course, we can never get Caroline Stanbury in a scene by herself, but I digress. And we see them both at an IVF clinic. We learn that they're at the best IVF clinic in all the UAE, and Caroline is about to have some eggs extracted. So Caroline Stanbury says that they have the best doctor helping them on their journey. His name is Dr. Faki. And so she goes on to say that they can finally do it now because they're married. Because in Dubai, it's illegal to do IVF when you're not married. So now she goes on to say that since she's a woman of a certain age, it is a bit nerve-wracking. And then we find out that before she had her daughter Yasmin, she had had 2 miscarriages prior, and how she's always had some very tough pregnancies. And then we learned that she had IVF to conceive her twin boys. So with IVF, you can choose the gender, and we see that Sergio wants a girl. Now, like I said in prior recaps, I think that Sergio's being a bit unfair and a bit selfish. You are pressuring her to have a child. It's just not fair. And then when Caroline Stanbury said in her confessional that Sergio told her that even if they don't have kids, he'll still be happy with their family, she's not too sure she believes him, but she refuses to worry about their future. Now, personally, while I do think that Sergio does love Caroline, I don't know if he would be okay with not having a kid of his own. I think that he would be a bit annoyed and resentful if she cannot carry a child. But we see the doctor come out, and he's telling Sergio and Caroline the good news that they were able to extract 5 eggs, and they're both excited and surprised. Like I've stated, I think that it's very selfish on Sergio's part, and I also feel like Caroline Stanbury really does not want to go through with this. I don't think that she's in the mind frame of wanting to have another kid. She has a 15-year-old, 2 11-year-olds. Like, I don't think she wants to start over with a newborn at her age. But again, good luck to both of them, and I hope it works out. Now we move on to a really sweet scene with Ayan at home. And a quick side note, it was nice to see Ayan film a scene at her place, because like I had mentioned in last week's recap, that we haven't seen her at home. So anyhow, she's in her living room and she is FaceTiming with her older sister. And we learned that her and her sister are about 4 years apart. She's not completely sure of the age difference, but she thinks that it's about 4 years apart. So she goes on to say that her and her sister are extremely close, and she looks at her sister as a second mother. So we learn that Ayan and her sister used to travel to see each other about twice a year, but because of COVID, they haven't seen each other in about 2 years. So she says that they talk on the phone about 4 times a day about everything. That's her best friend, and she wouldn't have it any other way. And I also want to point out, I'm happy that Ayan does have a supportive sibling in her corner, because if you read the Vulture interview that she did, then you know that her other siblings are not happy about her being on this show at all. Her siblings will email her talking about, we're so embarrassed, like, why are you on here? You're embarrassing the family, like, please stop. So that must suck. So now Ayan starts telling her sister that she went to a hypnotherapist the other day with Sara, and how she spoke about what happened to the both of them when they were little. So she goes on to say in her confessional that the circumcision brought her and her sister together. They both were in the same room, and they heard each other's screams. Now, when Ayan shared this in last week's episode, everybody was shocked. I was not expecting her to say that. And like I said in last week's recap, the fact that Ayan can sit here today with a smile on her face and she's carved out a great life for herself, that speaks volumes. And the fact that she went through that at 5. So Ayan continues on by saying that seeing the hypnotherapist was the best thing that she could have done. She feels free. She feels like all her problems were just lifted off of her. So Ayan's sister says that she's happy to hear this, but she's also shocked that Ayan actually did it. So now her sister shares that when she did it, she spent 2 weeks just crying and focusing on forgiveness. And let me just tell y'all, Ayan and her sister have some amazing spirits to be able to forgive everybody involved in what happened to them. Because there is no way. And y'all know we've talked about it, about forgiveness on my channel and all that stuff. But hearing them talk about forgiving, it's like, how? How do you even get to a place where you can forgive what was done to you? You know what I'm saying? But I am happy that Ayan and her sister have been able to get past what happened to them. And like I said, it speaks volumes to their strength. So now Ayan brings up how her father tried to sell her into marriage when she was only 14, and how her sister saved her. And her sister says, I wanted you to be a child. I wanted you to, have fun and enjoy your life. And it was very touching to hear that. And when Ayan said, my sister is a warrior, she's my hero, like I look up to her, it's like, it's just so beautiful that her sister went to such great lengths to protect her sister. And that's what a sister should do. But again, a very sweet scene, a very touching scene. And it's just a beautiful thing to see that Ayan and her sister are both thriving despite what happened to them. So now we get to the day of Sara's girls' trip to Ras Al Khaimah. Let me know again if I said it wrong. I'm doing the best I can, y'all. But we see all the women are traveling together. We see both Carolines in one car. And of course, Brooks is just stirring the pot like she always does. So Brooks is like, how are you feeling? You know that I spoke to your frenemy the other day, and we all know who she's talking about. And so Stanbury says, look, I'm just going to keep quiet and just try to coexist with everybody. I don't want any problems. And then we learn that Caroline Stanbury is really emotional right now because of the hormones, because of IVF. And you guys were right, because you guys called it in last week's recap. You were like, Brooke, even though Stanbury is usually an ice queen, if she's doing IVF, then she is definitely hormonal, she's emotional, and it will turn the iciest person into a crybaby. So you guys are right. You guys said that's what it was. And we hear it right out of Stanbury's mouth that she is indeed super emotional. I just felt like, Brooks, was that necessary to say, oh, I spoke to your frenemy the other day? I cannot stand folks like Brooks who love when there's drama between other people in a friend group. Like, why do you get excited about that? Shouldn't you want everybody to get along? Like, I don't know. People like Brooks, you always need to watch out for, because she will hug you while still having the knife in your back at the same time. So now we see Nina arrive first. She's greeted with some champagne. Then we see both of the Carolines arrive. They give Nina a hug. And mind you, Caroline Brooks was already tipsy. So now we have Lesa and Ayan show up. It's a bit tense, a bit awkward, but everybody for the most part is cordial. Then we see Nina say in her confessional that she's still trying to make sense of this little spat that she's having with Lesa. So now they all get in a golf cart to go see where Sarah's at. So as they're riding in the golf cart, Brooks is super drunk, mind you, and she thinks that she might vomit. They're all like, girl, if you have to vomit, do it over there. Like, turn around. Nobody wants to see that. Again, I want to know, how was Brooks that drunk and they just got there? Like, really? How much were you drinking in the car? Like, girl, what? And I get the impression that Brooks is a lightweight. I can see her being drunk after 1.5 glasses of champagne. Now, mind you, as they're getting closer to the villa, they see Sara on a camel. Now, I was thinking if I were Brooks, I'd be scared because there's no way in the world that I would want to ride a camel drunk. So they finally arrive to the villa. Sara greets them. She's showing them around. And I mean, everything looked amazing. And I saw that they were at the Ritz-Carlton. I said, I know that's right. Honey, if you know me, the Ritz-Carlton is my favorite hotel, okay?
I love it. I love it.
They all sit down to have some lunch. The food looked delicious. They had some tea sandwiches, some nice desserts. Everything looked amazing. So as they're eating, Sara says to all the ladies that the only rules for today are no talking about what you do, how much money you make. She just wants to get to know all the ladies on a deeper level. So now Ayan shares with the group about how she and Sara went to a hypnotherapist the other day, and she reveals what happened to her and her sister when she was only a child. So everybody in the group is shocked. Stanbury says that she feels bad for Ayan and her upbringing, and she goes on to say that no child deserves to go through any of that. Then Lesa says that Ayan is one of the most amazing people that she's ever come across, and now all the ladies toast to Ayan. And it was really sweet because Ayan said, even though we might go through difficult things, it doesn't define us. And I said, she's absolutely correct. You're not your struggles or your hardships or the terrible things that have happened to you in life. Yes, they may have happened, but that's not who you are. So now Brooks interjects, and mind you, Brooks is super drunk, okay? Like, she's not making that much sense. She's just rambling, going on and on. And she's like, Sara, I just want to say thank you because sometimes people feel like their lives aren't important. And I guess she was talking about herself because they all started consoling her. Then she goes on to say how little things are important and how you never know what somebody else is going through. Now, this is how you know that Brooks was drunk because she started going on saying how Sara's one of the most non-judgmental people she's ever met and she wants to be Sara. I said, now, Brooks, stop it. Because 3 episodes ago, you were cursing her out, talking about she's judgmental, how she's a know-it-all, how she was judging your parenting. So I said, girl, you obviously had one too many. So now we jump to all the ladies getting ready for dinner. And it was so sweet because Sara had these gorgeous caftans for all of them. And I know the name that she said, but I don't know if I'm going to say it right. I think she said they were called Gayavias. Did I say that right? Let me know. But they were stunning. And the colors were just gorgeous. And we also learned that in Sara's culture, they wear them for special occasions. Now, this next part had me screaming because they were riding camels on the way to dinner. And you had Lesa and Stanbury riding one camel together. Nina and Sara were on another one. And then it was Ayan and Brooks on another camel. And when I tell you that Brooks was so drunk and her being on that camel had me worried. And when Ayan said, yeah, Brooks almost broke my small back, I could not stop laughing. I said, not your small back.
Daddy got to do things behind your back, your small back.
And somebody on Twitter had me screaming. They were like, this camel ride reminded me of when the New York ladies went to Morocco in season 4. And Luann almost fell off the camel because they were riding camels. And that camel that Luann got on did not like her. That season and that trip was a hot mess. I found it funny that Sara had paired people who don't really get along to be on Camels together, because we know that Ayan and Brooks are always going at it. Lesa and Stanbury, their friendship's kind of like, eh. And then when Stanbury said, Nina filled me in on the drama earlier, and all I have to say is, Nina didn't like me before, but now we're friends, like, get over it. So now they finally arrived to dinner. The table was set up beautifully, and it was so nice because they had a tribe come and greet them. And I was like, that's just so beautiful. And when I tell you guys, and when I go to Dubai, I hope to experience all this. Like, I just love it. I love the customs. I love the traditions. Just amazing. So now the tribe leaves, and now they sit down for dinner. And the food looked good. It was Emirati food, and it's from the mountains. No processed food whatsoever. And you have to eat it with your hands. And of course, Stanbury just can't get on board. She's like, no thanks, I'll just stick to using a knife and fork. And I'm thinking, Stanbury, it's gonna kill you to just go along with everybody else. So as they're eating dinner, Sara says to everybody, is everybody in this group okay with each other? Brooks interjects and says, yup, I'm good with everybody in this group. I have no drama with anybody. I said, that might be the case for now, Brooks, but you are the messiest one in this group, and you're always inserting yourself in other people's drama, making things worse. So now Lesa interjects and she says, well, I think that I'm good with everybody. I think I'm okay with everybody. And now Sara points out how there's a wall up between her and Stanbury. So now Lesa acknowledges that there is a wall up between her and certain people, and how everybody does not need to be best friends with everybody in this group. So now Stanbury interjects and she says that she's good. And now Lesa addresses Stanbury and she says, Stanbury, I feel like I've been very nice to you. And I feel like me and you just don't click. Then Lesa continues on by saying that she's heard from multiple people that Caroline has called people up asking what she and her husband do for a living. And she says, if you have questions, then ask me about them. Like, don't ask anybody else. So now Stanbury denies it and she says, I have never picked up the phone asking anybody about you and what you do. So now Lesa claps back and says, you asked Brooks, Nina, and Ayan about me. So now Stanbury says, but that was a long time ago, and everybody has asked about everybody in this group. Now let me just say this, knowing what I know now about Stanbury and Ayan's recent Vulture interview that she did, I believe every word that Stanbury probably was calling up asking about Lesa and what she does for a living. But in all seriousness though, Stanbury looks like she'd rather be anywhere else but with these ladies. She always looks so bored, like she could care less. So now Lesa brings up how Stanbury has her blocked on Instagram. Stanbury's playing coy. She's like, well, I don't follow everybody on Instagram. So Lesa calls BS and she's like, do you have a problem with me or not? So now Stanbury says that she doesn't want anything negative around her. And Lesa takes offense to that. She's like, oh, so you're calling me negative now? And so she brings up how Stanbury called her poison in the group chat. And Stanbury says, well, you called me messy. So it's clear that we're not getting anywhere between Caroline, Stanbury, and Lesa. They're just not going to be friends. And even Sara was like, you know what, guys? Stay blocked on Instagram. It's clear that you guys do not want to get along. And I'm tired of being peacemaker. But I was thinking, but Sara, nobody told you to be the peacemaker. You took that title on yourself. Like, nobody was asking you to try to settle things between them. They are both grown women. If they want to be friends, they'll do that on their own accord. And if they don't want to be friends, then that's their decision too. Like, again, nobody asked you to play peacemaker. Now, let me just say, I feel like the timeline of when Lesa and Stanbury just started to hate each other sort of kind of came out of nowhere, if that makes sense. We saw them in the beginning of this season. They were fine. They were cool with each other. Lesa went to Stanbury's hen party. Then we saw them get into that argument at Nina's friend's party when Caroline made that nasty comment saying, well, why don't you go and suck Sergio's you-know-what? Then they made up and they were cool again. So now to see them kind of on the outs once again, it's like, wait, what happened? Because we obviously missed a few scenes. Now we see a fire breather and a belly dancer come out. And it was so cute because Ayan got up to join the belly dancer. And we know that Ayan has many talents, but dancing and having rhythm is not one of them. So we end the finale seeing all the updates with all the women. Ayan is starting her own makeup line. Lisa's getting her boys a goldfish. Nina's dream home is almost ready. Caroline Stanbury, the whole IVF procedure is on ice until Sergio learns more about sex education.
You know what? This is too much.
Sergio's a bit too old to not know certain things. Because certain things that he was saying, it was like, Sergio, were you paying attention in sex ed? Like, did your parents talk to you? Like, you're a bit too old to not know a lot of stuff. Now, I personally feel like Caroline Stanbury is stalling because she has no desire to have another child. But again, I digress. And then we see Sarah's update about her son. She's gonna launch his career into a comedian because he's always making jokes. And then we see that Caroline Brooks is working on her spa's grand opening. So that's where the finale episode ends. But guys, what did you all think about Dubai? Did you guys like this first season? You thought it was okay? Do you see it coming back for season 2? Are you gonna watch if there is a season 2? Let me know down below. I will say that I am looking forward to this reunion because the reunion does look good. But guys, thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. And you guys already know what to do. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you all later. Bye.